Dividing fractions. Now, dividing fractions is 100,000% super different than multiplying fractions at the beginning. Okay, so if I have 2/3 divided by 1/7, does anybody know what I have to do to these fractions in order for me to divide them?
Make the denominators the same?
No, you do not. So, good thing about dividing fractions, just like multiplying, you don't need common denominators. Yay! Only for adding and subtracting.
You need to flip the 1/7 into 7 ones.
Yes. And what else? Teacher Saeed. Oh, Teacher Saeed is back. And what else, Teacher Saeed?
You change it to a multiplication sign.
What? And what happens to the first fraction?
The first fraction stays the same.
Very good, Teacher Saeed. Very good. He nailed it. The first fraction, actually, you don't divide fractions. We don't divide fractions. We actually multiply fractions. You don't divide. So first fraction stays exactly the same. 2/3. Exactly the same. Division, no bueno. We actually multiply. We multiply. And then this one, we flip it. We flip it. So it's called multiplying by the reciprocal. Multiply by the reciprocal. So this and this are called the reciprocal. Okay, the reciprocal is when you flip a fraction over. Okay, you just flip it around. It's called the reciprocal. In basic, like, how can I make this easy for you? We just say that we flip it. Okay, but in reality, honor students, it's that you multiply by the reciprocal. Okay, the reciprocal is when you flip the fraction around. In high school, you'll be using the word reciprocal a lot. The teacher will be like, okay, what's the reciprocal of 5/8? And you're like, oh, 8/5. That would be the reciprocal. In 7th grade, we just kind of go like, oh, you just flip it. You just flip it. And then to solve it, you would just multiply straight across just like usual, right? So 2 times 7 would be 14/3. Okay, and then that would give you 4 2/3. So that would be your answer. So for dividing fractions, you don't divide fractions. You multiply by the reciprocal. So do you remember like when we would talk about subtracting integers and I'd be like, you don't subtract integers, you add the opposite? Well, this is very similar to that. We don't divide fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal. We multiply by the reciprocal. So if I have, let's say 4/9 divided by 2/3, right? So when you see a division sign, you go like, pump the brakes. I can't divide. Can't divide. I have to multiply by the reciprocal. Multiply by the reciprocal. So same thing. You keep the first fraction. Okay, keep the first fraction. Okay. You change division to multiplication. Okay, so you keep the first fraction, you change division to multiplication. Okay, and then the 2/3 in basic English, you flip it. You flip it. Yep, you flip it. And in my math class, well, basic math would be keep, change, flip, keep, change, flip. KCF. KCF. So writing these keywords might help you remember it. Keep, change, flip. You keep the first fraction, you change division to multiplication, and then you flip it. Kind of like when we were subtracting, you would keep the first number, switch or change to addition, and then do the opposite of the last number. So very similar to that. All right, now this one, if you multiply straight across, you get 12 over 18, which you have to simplify. If you simplify the corners, now remember when we simplify corners, we simplify them like this. You do the opposite corners to simplify. I can divide this by 3. I can divide this by 3. I get 3 here. I get 1 up here. And I can divide this by 2 and this by 2. And I get 1 here and 2 there. And that gives me 2 over 3. Now, how do I go from here to here? Well, I can just divide this by 6, right? So it's either way. Either you can simplify before you multiply, or if that's way too confusing for you, you just simplify at the end, right? You can get an answer of 12 over 18 and then simplify at the end. And that's perfectly fine. Okay, it's wherever you want to simplify. If you want to simplify beforehand, fantastic. If you want to wait until the end, go for it. That's perfectly fine. As long as everybody in the class gets an answer of 2/3, we're okay. We're okay. Okay. We're okay. Turn the page. If you need that, screenshot it. Let's give you one with bigger numbers. All right, 25 over 27 divided by 35 over 3. Like forcing you to simplify before. So when you see a division problem, you're going to keep, change, flip. Now, what's the number one mistake kids do is they start flipping multiplication. Like they'll have a multiplication problem and start flipping things around. It's like, no, wait. On Monday and Wednesday of this week, did I teach you how to flip anything? No, right? So please don't, no, thank you. Please do not start flipping multiplication problems. The only ones we flip are division when we transfer them into multiplication. So multiplication, don't flip them. Remember, you just spent 2 days not flipping anything. Don't start flipping everything in the world. You're gonna flip my mind if you do that. Drive me bananas. Okay, so this one's 25 over 27. That one does not change whatsoever. We change division to multiplication, and then we flip this around. 3 over 35, right? And there's a reason why I chose these numbers. Now, who out there wants to multiply 27 times 35? Who out there wants to do 27 times 5? No one, right? Maybe my kid with an 18%. Maybe he does. I don't know. Of course Paul wants to do it. Okay, Paul, you do it. You do it. We want to simplify before. So this, like, I'm forcing you, literally forcing you to simplify the corners. So I'm going to start with this corner, 25 and 35. What number can I simplify 25 and 35 by?
5.
By 5. All right, so take a moment to do that before I do. I see already an answer up there. That gives us 7, and this gives us 5. And then this corner, 3 and 27. What can I divide 27 and 3 by? Yes, by 3. I can divide this by 3. It can never be bigger than the smallest number, so I can't divide this by a bigger number. It has to be either that number or smaller. So divide by 3. This gives you a 1 on the top and a 9 at the bottom. 5 times 1 is 5. 9 times 7 is 63, and that's our final answer. Now, if we were Paul and actually like did 27 times 35, we would get a ginormous number that we would actually have to simplify. And we would be like, oh my gosh, what is this? I don't know. What can I divide by, right? It would be very sad. And Paul would still probably be working on his problem and we would have to wait for him for like 20 minutes to figure it out. Yeah, big numbers are bad. If you simplify the corners, of course, it's a lot easier. Okay? All right. We're going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to give you guys 3 problems to do right now in your notebook. Okay? Now, I would copy one down, do one, space it out because I don't know how much room you're going to need, right? So, I would copy one and do one. Oops. Divide. All right. Weird problems. Okay. So, here are 3 problems that I actually. Is it 3 questions for notes? Yes. So, these 3 you're going to do it right now. It's like notes, right? But we're going to do it right now. You're going to do them on your own right now. So I'm going to give you guys like about 5 minutes. I want you to do these 3 problems right now in your notes. It's included as notes. So you're doing it right now. Okay. It's a little different. I usually don't do this, but trying something new. So I'm going to set my timer for about 5 minutes. Do these 3 problems. Now, if you need help, please put it in the chat. You can private chat with me right now. So we're doing these 3 problems. Feel free to look back on your notes. If you need a multiplication table, feel free to Google search a multiplication table and have it open on the next screen. That's cool. I don't mind.